Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, we're going to take a look at some of the finalists that played in the UK National Championship today. I watched most of the Nats coverage myself as far as UK. Canadian Nats were also happening today, so it was a really fun day to watch some Flesh and Blood. But I kind of want to go over these three FI decks. In UK, there were three individuals who placed top 8 with FI, including the winning list. And I just kind of wanted to go over them because they are Kodachi based lists. They are not Emberblade based lists, and just kind of give you all an idea of, my thoughts on these lists, where they went with it, and just kind of like the differences between all of the lists themselves. Because they all have the same basic principle, but they're also very different in some of the card choices that they had. And I kind of just want to go through it. Before I get into this, I think it's really cool that a lot of people didn't have the hive mind mentality. I know I am not the best deck builder. I'm not saying I'm a national championship caliber player like these guys are, but it's really funny because I just want anyone out there who's like building a deck and you feel peer pressured to like just net deck or do whatever you want everyone else is doing instead of making some choices that you want to make. Like, there's nothing wrong with net decking. There's nothing wrong with following what other people say to get a good baseline. But I will say that all three of these guys kind of proved that you don't always have to go with the norm and kind of make different choices based off what you think is best. The Flesh and Blood Discord has a lot of good players in it, but a lot of the choices they made in their decks, people were not agreeing with in unison in the Flesh and Blood Discord. One was Rise from the Ashes was generally not looked at as a good card from a lot of people for some reason. Soaring Strike and its use was not as big of a deal. A lot of people weren't 100% on Kodachi Fi, even though that one was kind of like 50-50. And even not having Belittle on the main board and only in the sideboard, some people thought people were crazy for that. This, that, and the other. So all that to say, build what you think is best. Obviously, if you're way off base, you're way off base. But if you have some cool little tech you want to do, and you're confident in it, do it. But with these three decks, this is the winning list right here. So we'll kind of go over we'll save this one for last. We'll go over the 5th through 8th decks. All three of these decks were Kodachi based. None of them even had Emberblade in the sideboard, I don't think, for any of these. Let's see. Yeah, Emberblade wasn't even in the sideboard for any of these. So for the 2/5, we'll say what's the same from all of the decks. So all the decks were running some of the non-attack actions like Ancestral Empowerment, or cards that are not attacks. Ancestral Empowerment, even bigger than that, was I think in 2 of the lists. Well, only one of the lists. Only this guy had even bigger than that. Rise from the Ashes, as you can see, was in all 3 lists as a 3 of. The card's just ridiculous. Every Fi, I don't care if you're Ember or Kodachi, should be running it. I do think it's slightly better in Kodachi's, but even if you're not Kodachi, I think it's an automatic include in my opinion. And then all were on Art of War. Obviously, it's kind of a given, you know what I mean. And then some of the D-Reacts, Sink Below and That All You Got. Sink Below was in the winning list, and That All You Got was, but these two did not have any of those. So we'll kind of go through that. But the biggest ones, they're all using Ancestral Empowerment. They're all using Art of War. They're all using Rise from the Ashes. So in the 5th through 8th place list, this list, Isaac Murray's was mainly focused on Belittle, really going all in on Belittle, 6 of, and I'm assuming they all were in the main board. So, that's a big one. So they're really trying to get a lot of value, a lot of constant pitch. It looks like to me that probably had 3. Razor Reflex is a really interesting. I would love to know their tech on it because I'm never going to discredit anybody. They place top 8. Razor Reflex is really interesting for a Kodachi list because it can't pitch it for Kodachi. It's literally a +1. I'm surprised they didn't run the red Razor Reflex. I wonder if this is a mistake on the list part. I just don't see why you'd run a blue Razor Reflex. Maybe it's supposed to be a red. I'm not sure. If any of y'all know Isaac, quote me on it. I would venture to guess this is supposed to be a red Razor Reflex and they messed up when they put the list in. But if they didn't, then that's some interesting tech. But I'm almost positive this is supposed to be a red Razor. I like red Razor in Fi. I think it's definitely a tech card, right? The reason it has goods and bads, right? The bads is you already have a lot of natural go again. But in this list, Scar for Scar, Snatch, Soul Bead Strike, Take the Tempo, Lava Burst, it could give all those go again. Also give them +3. Really good, especially coming from Arsenal. And what I've noticed with Fi is a lot of people are exact blocking Fi. So if you have a red Razor, it allows you to, you know, even if you only hit one Razor during the game for the most part, late game, it forces them to change their blocks up or at least have to respect a Razor reflex. So it's really good for that. One red minimalism is really interesting as well. A lot of good value cards in here in Light and Strike. This is basically like just trying to have as much high value as possible. The Energy Potion, I'm assuming, is for like really fatigue like matchups. Really interesting there. So definitely some kind of unique tech choices. Remember, it's probably obviously for the Oldhim matchup, maybe even Icelander, depending on how crazy it goes. Peter Ward was the other top 8 deck. Pretty similar list, actually the exact same list from what I'm seeing. These two are probably teammates, is my guess. If anything, he is. I noticed that Isaac is not running Blaze Headlong, and Peter Ward is. So that's one difference. They're both running Light and Strike, both running Lava Burst, one Red Minnow, Mounting Anger, Phoenix Flame, Ravenous Rabble, both running Red Rise from the Ashes. Yep. Ravenous Rabble is an interesting one. It definitely is good. It's a 0 for 4 go again most of the time. Just really good value. I'm a little wary of it because you can't Ancestral it. You can't Rise from the Ashes on it. It doesn't... Oh no, it's kind of interesting. I think it's definitely good, and obviously it's not bad enough to not have in the deck. It's just kind of sometimes may not have the synergy you want with it. And it's not Draconic, obviously, which this doesn't care as much about Draconic links, but it could every once in a while in a pinch. So that's really interesting, but all 3 decks ran it, so it's obviously useful. So both of these decks did really well. Congratulations to them for both playing top 8. And then we get to the winning deck list. So let's go over the differences of this deck list as opposed to the other top 8. So he's not running 6 of Belittle. He's running a 3 of Belittle. I'm pretty sure he ran Belittle in the main board. I know he shared his deck list in the Discord. I don't remember if Belittle was in the side. It might have been in the sideboard. I have to double check. So quote me on that in the comments if you remember. He's running 3 even bigger than that. The other 2 lists weren't running that. And then he's running 3 Sync Blows. So he's really respecting the Guardian matchup. I love Sync Blow in the Guardian matchup. It just helps you preserve your life total a little bit more, especially on some pesky cards. Not always just like on the big pummel plays, but like there's certain cards that a lot of the Guardians are running, both Bravo and Oldhim, that's really frustrating. Like Crush the Weak is a big one because you literally can't play your 3 power or less cards. And Sync Below just automatically stops that from having its crush effect unless they pummel it. It's really good for Winter's Whales, right? Frosty Winter Whales. You can just, Sync Below from Arsenal, block out the Winter's Whale, continue with your turn just like normal. Really good for stuff like that. So, and then obviously the dominated attacks is always really useful for that. So really good there. He's also running the blue snatches, which I don't. Oh, the other ones were running blue snatches. Okay, he's running 2 Monoisms. I'm actually almost positive Little's in his sideboard because I remember the Fi Disc channel saying like it's crazy how he only runs 9 blues. 9 blues is interesting. Obviously he won, so it's fine. I personally would like to do like maybe 11 or 12 blues, but I mean to each their own on that. Definitely a really solid list. He's looking for a lot of different interactions, using Rise from the Ashes to force awkward breakpoints, being able to stack triggers, right? Like, not stack, but like consecutive triggers. So like you Rise from the Ashes with a Mounting Anger in hand, Mounting Anger for 7, it hits, and then you like Brand for 4, or you Mounting Anger for 7, it hits, banish some other card, play Soaring Strike for 4, banish a Lava Burst, and then you play out 2 cards, right? So like there's a bunch of different stuff you can do with it. Overall really useful. But yeah, he's just going for really good value, and he's able to get go again on some of these cards that don't have go again through several ways. Obviously, Snaps is like the easiest one. Snapdragon Scalers, even bigger than that's another way you can give it go again. Snatch is another, not Snatch, gosh. Soaring Strike is another way you can give it go again. Just a bunch of different ways to really, even Art of War in a pinch. Just a bunch of different ways to give these cards that maybe don't have unconditional go again, pretty consistent go again. Ancestral Empowerment's a card that I was not previously on with Fi. I didn't really like it, but now that people are starting to really tank up and exact block you, it's really useful to get over the top on some of those stuff, or even honestly to cycle your hand. If you don't have a blue, maybe you're searching for Kodachis or something like that. This can help like draw into a blue. Maybe you just have a brand and an ancestral and like one other card in hand. You brand for 3, they block it for 3. You ancestral, making it +1, draw into a blue, play your Kodachis out, then play your final attack. Like I've had hands where I had brand with Cinder Claw red, ancestral empowerment, and lava burst. I played brand. They block or don't block, you ancestral it, draw into a blue, Kodachi, and then lava burst. So it's really nice for that. Overall, just really solid card. And then, yeah, obviously running the 9 of brands is really important. The Soul Bead Strike's really interesting tech. It can get go again from Soaring Strike. It can get go again from even bigger than that. Just overall really good. And obviously it presents the conditional go again on its own. So it's really good value there. And yeah, he did really well. He said a lot of people were like, how was your Icelander matchup? Apparently he beat an Icelander and is winning in where he was still at 24 life. So obviously doing something right there, because both those players, if they're both on winning in matches, that means they're pretty high up in the leaderboard. Sorry if you hear my dog going nuts. He's rolling around the floor. That all you got's a good tech card, obviously, for the Runeblade matchups. Just really solid. Like, this list isn't fancy. That's the funny thing about this list, is it's just very high value Kodachi Fi. His equipment, probably main boarding furnace is my assumption. He's only bringing in Tunic into the kind of the grindier matchups. Except Oldham, he's probably still keeping Furnace in. Arcane Lantern's really interesting. Taking out one Kodachi, putting in Arcane Lantern, which sounds kind of weird at first, but like, since Icelander has so many frostbites and so much kind of make you ways to lose go again. Like, Hypothermia is a card, and it's not one that feels great when you Kodachi and they Hypothermia you. So like, the thing about Kodachi Fi is, like, it's not like Katsu where you're really trying to use the Kodachis every single turn. It's more of like using it when it makes the most sense. So overall, just really good adaptations by him, and being able to make the most of it. But yeah, overall 3 Fis in the top 8, and UK Nats is very, very, very competitive. Really big tournament. I think there was 12 rounds before it cut to top 8, and then cut to top 8, so 15 rounds in total. So really big tournament. So, and obviously it's a Nat, so like most people there are very, very well versed in their decks. And yeah, but hopefully y'all take something away from these decks. I'm building my version. Obviously I've been on Kodachi Fi for a while, been on Soaring Strike, stuff like that. I haven't tried even bigger than that, so I'm going to be trying that out as well. And maybe a color of tech cards in here. Soul Bead Strike's another one I haven't tried out, but so like these are the 2 like main things I want to try out, even bigger than that, and Soul Bead Strike. A lot of the other stuff I've had in my decks. But it's really, really good to see Fi continuing to be in the meta, even with all these tank decks. Hopefully it continues. It's going to be interesting to see how this kind of like shakes up the US Nats meta, to be honest with you. It's going to be really cool to see. But yeah, hopefully y'all enjoy this. Let me know what you think of the list. Let me know what you're going to take away from it. Any changes that you think they should make, or like that you want to try out. Not that they should make, but that you would want to try out yourself. And yeah, hopefully I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.